President Trump's campaign has virtually disappeared from primetime as they aim to restructure their campaign strategy. That move comes after shakeups within the campaign and a dip in poll numbers for President Trump.
So the Director of Strategic Communications for the Trump campaign, Marc Lotter, he's here to explain more about the ad game. So, Marc, it's great to see you.
Good to see you.
So tell us about what's going on. There's been a lot of speculation with these ads. I saw Trump campaign advisor Jason Miller say there's $200 million ready to be spent in September. So what's the game plan here, Marc? Was it a strategic reorienting? Is there a new message that we should all see? What's the final offensive message with so much money behind it?
Well, I think the first thing is that Associated Press story was blatantly wrong. In fact, the morning it came out, we announced that we were introducing ads into 5 battleground states. And what we basically did was take the ads down during the Republican National Convention because we were commanding the airwaves anyway. So it really didn't make a lot of sense for us to waste money on ads when every television you turned on to had our coverage going on nonstop. So it was a strategic decision. It was a business-like decision. And we're now up with ads in 5 battleground states. You see 2 new ads we just introduced this morning in Wisconsin and in Minnesota, talking about law and order and the lawlessness that's going on in those states that Joe Biden, the Democrats, have not been able to condemn for weeks on end.
And we have heard Vice President Biden, former Vice President Biden, condemn violence. The president has seemed to be a little more circumspect in terms of talking about his own supporters showing up in Portland, for example, with paintball guns and tear gas. Is that behavior that he condones? Does he want his supporters showing up in that way? Just clarify his thoughts on these things.
Yeah, the president said this just the other day, that he does not want his supporters taking this into their own hands. He wants to support law and order. He supports the police to be able to restore peace to the streets and to bring safety to these communities, something that the Democrats up until just this week really had taken a pass on. We didn't hear it at all mentioned during the Democrat National Convention. And I would say right now, because of, you see what Joe Biden is currently saying, it's too little, too late. It's just more empty words that don't back up the rhetoric he's been talking about for months on end.
So here's the interesting thing, though, Marc. I'm looking at Politico Morning Consult poll just came out this morning that says that voters actually trust former Vice President Biden to handle public safety at a 47 to 39% ratio whenever it comes to President Trump. Is this something that the campaign is worried about? Are you going to try and bolster that message to try and be more of the law and order candidate in the eyes of the American people?
No, and polls aside, it's very clear that who stands on the side of police, law and order in this country. Joe Biden called them the enemy. Kamala Harris compared them to the Klan, and they have talked about taking funding away from police agencies. But you see, just like this week with the president going to Kenosha, talking about the great work that the men and women who put on that badge are doing to protect our communities, to protect our families. And that's a message that is resonating across America. I think it's one of the reasons why you're seeing such a huge surge in support for the president, because they know he stands for the men and women who's actually keeping them safe.
And Marc, another area where the president has struggled, I think, in his articulation is what the second term agenda is. So could you lay out for the American people, like, what do the first 100 days look like? What are the top priorities? Because look, in 2016, whether you liked it or not, we knew it was trade. We knew it was immigration. We had like a very clear view of what the priorities would be. And this time around, not so much.
Well, I think the president laid that out last week during the Republican National Convention. He talked about how we've got to get this economy going again and continue with the policies that made it strong in the first place. But also there's going to be a very big focus on bringing manufacturing jobs back to the U.S. And not just general manufacturing, also a focus on bringing pharmaceutical and medical manufacturing back to our country, because we should not be reliant on China or anyone else to get the medical supplies, the pharmaceuticals that help keep our first responders and the American public safe.
And I also wanted to ask you, Marc, we got a bit of a hint from the Biden campaign. They got $300 million coming in the last month. When can we expect your numbers? And are you as excited about your haul as they are theirs?
Yeah, we're very excited about our August fundraising. We actually outraised them during our convention, and we have very strong numbers, which we're actually still adding up as we speak. So those will be out. Those will be out very shortly. But this isn't just going to be about money. It's going to be about the message. And I think when you talk about strong economic recovery, supporting law and order and safety in our communities, and even keeping our country safe, President Trump's got the right message, and we have more than enough money to be able to deliver it between now and Election Day.
And Mark, last question to you. There was a lot of talk about the First Step Act during the RNC. I know you'd previously said the president wanted to continue to build on criminal justice reform. Do you have any ideas of further steps there or some of the police reform ideas that had been discussed previously?
Well, the president's been very clear. He signed an executive order that we need to be able to modernize police training and provide more support to our police agencies so they can get the best training. And when it comes to continued criminal justice reform, we want to make sure that our criminal justice system is representative of where our society is. And that what you're seeing is that what the president has done is undo such much of the damage that Joe Biden caused when he supported and authored the crime bill and other acts that actually led to increased incarceration for minorities and people from communities of color. The president's going to continue to stand up for strong criminal justice reform, and that is definitely part of a second-term agenda.
And so Joe Biden was sort of too tough on crime in the 90s? Is that the supposition here?
I think a lot of people think that the crime bill that he authored and sponsored in the early or mid 90s led to increased incarceration among primarily African Americans, but many people from communities of color. A lot of that was undone during the First Step Act, and so we need to make sure that the president is continuing on this path of reforming the criminal justice system, making sure that people who can get a second chance get not only the release, but also the training and skills they need to be able to get a job and succeed out in the society.
Well, we appreciate you joining us, Mark. Thanks so much.
Good morning. Thank you.
Next on Rising, is the American dream being stilted by employer-provided health insurance? Progressive entrepreneur Joe Sandberg, he's going to explain his theory when Rising continues.